we're back for part 2 of planter pass products.
Finally, it's been a hectic couple weeks. There's been a lot going on.
I know. I'd say we're probably half done planting.
Yeah, at least.
Maybe a little
By
more.
by half done, there's people at 80% and people at 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess we're recording this on May 6th. So we just had last 2 days of kind of colder weather and a little snow in some parts, but I think everywhere for the most part got a decent amount of rain, so that was good to see.
Yeah. No, it's about what, 3/4 of an inch to maybe even close to an inch and a half.
Yeah.
But well, we were it rained. I guess the rain that came in today is Wednesday, I believe. So it came in Monday night, and so things slowed down Tuesday. I guess we were a little busy, but Cinco de Mayo kind of got the best of us yesterday, so we're recording on Wednesday. It's still rainy out, so
Yeah.
we took yesterday off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon. So now we're back. We got an hour in the afternoon before we hit it hard again tomorrow. Sun's going to come out and it's going to be 80 degrees. So hopefully we can plow through and finish strong. So yeah, let's dive into the products that we have left that you could still add to your planter if you still have some acres to cover.
Yeah, so another one, I guess another type of product that's commonly talked about now is amino acids. And so there you can get amino acids, added to like a micronutrient pack. You can also just add them, by themselves. And a lot of times they're going to be already in some of these carbon products, some of these sugar products. So amino acids, really their main function in the plant is just to stimulate that root growth. And once if you can develop a better root system, you're going to have more natural enzymes from the plant. And so it's really to stimulate root growth. Is kind of the main function of amino acids. But you also get a little bit of, amino acids are, building blocks of proteins. So even later in the season, a lot of these products that are applied that contain amino acids are going to be more for that protein synthesis. And then, making sure we're packing that ear with starch.
Is there any type of, well, I guess kind of two-part question for you. Is there different types of amino acids? And two, has there been any products that like stood out to you when you've been doing trials and stuff?
Yeah, there are different types of amino acids. There's a couple of these planter box treatments that have, naturally derived proteins derived from like the soybean plant, is a common one. And so that particular product actually has 19 different forms of amino acids in it.
Is that too many? I mean, or are we just do
No,
we
I
need
mean
that many?
they all serve a different function and a different purpose. I definitely think some carry a heavier load when it comes to a benefit to a crop than others. But no, you really can't like over apply amino acids or they're really you know cheap in a way. Like you can get kind of a full amino acid program for like a $1 to $2 an acre. So it's kind of an easy way just to um, make sure what we're applying in-furrow has, a little more of a food source for the biologicals we're applying, but also, to get that enzyme, to create enzymes and get that root stimulated, so you have a good early root development on that corn plant, and that's really going to determine, all your nutrient use efficiencies as you get on into the season is, or how good is your root system. So we're really just trying to build the best root system we can. There is a different group of amino acids, early versus late. So I think early anything banded, and we've talked about this a little bit before when it comes to nutrients or biostimulant products, plant growth promoters, PGRs. Like that's all. They're all going to be more efficient when they're banded. Okay, so if we're putting them right next to the seed in furrow, that's the best place to get a maximum result. Now, when we're applying them foliar, you can still get good efficacy, from those amino acids you're applying, um, because a lot of those will work systemically in the plant, and actually translocate, when they're sprayed on foliar. It's really not something you can just fertigate, pump through the pivot and get a good response on, because you actually want it to sit on the leaf. So it's similar to a fungicide, the plant can translocate those within, within its system.
Okay, so even for a couple bucks an acre, I mean, you can still get some pretty good benefit doing both, really.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So, has there been any products that have stood out to you? I guess you've been dealing with those types of products definitely more than I have. Has there been anything that's really moved the needle?
Yeah, I think the biggest one for us has been, the last few years we've been developing our own planter box seed treatment. So, like for corn, it's called SeedLink, and in that we have, many different forms of amino acids, and that's another easy way to get a good response, because you're putting it directly on the seed, as a seed treatment. Um, or as a planter box treatment, depending on how you're applying it. And what we really like that for, and why that's part of our combination of ingredients in SeedLink, is that it's going to provide kind of an instant energy source for the all the biology in there too. Nextgen Fertilizers is introducing SeedLink, the game-changing planter box product that's revolutionizing corn planter box products. SeedLink delivers uniform emergence like never before, so every seed gets the perfect start. It's packed with phosphorus, humic and fulvic acids, amino acids, and beneficial biology. And the best part, SeedLink is half the cost of most of the other competitive products, even with more in it. We're not just applying biology here, we're actually applying biology with a food source. Use SeedLink on your corn today and get better emergence, better results, and all for a better price.
It's a good plug.
Yeah.
No, it's no, that's I mean that's why you put it in there, because you know exactly what it's going to do.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably just do a whole nother episode on SeedLink, because it's worth talking about. But a lot of these planter box treatments, that are just using like talc and graphite, which is really just kind of a wasted space in a sense to get that seed fluency aspect. Um, it really doesn't provide you any benefit other than seed flow. Hoping you don't plug your planter, or you don't have problems with um, your seed meters reading. So that's really the only reason it's in there. And then there's a bunch of biology that you might be paying, anywhere from 12 to 20 bucks an acre for, but it's not given any help, especially in our sands, if unless we add some other things with it, like amino acids, or even a little bit of, a carbon source, from whether it's sugar-based carbon, or like a humic and fulvic acid. When you're adding those other things in with the biology, it's going to get off to a better start as well. And so the quicker we can get those to colonize, and I mean, if we give them a bunch of food right out of the gate, we're just going to have better results with any biologicals.
Yeah, and especially the farther north you go, that biology is still it's not dormant, but it's still kind of waking up, and it's just slow. So we're kind of just speeding up the process to get them going to do what they do naturally, to work with the plant to get it going.
Yeah. Well, and like a good example too is, like in our planter box product, we we don't just have, azotobacters or infixing bacteria. We have phosphorus solubilizing in there too. And the main reason is that when you're planting into cool soils, all your phosphorus solubilizers and potassium, fixating microbes are dormant until that soil temp gets to about 60 degrees. So, and we're never planting in that warm of soils. So,
No,
I
no.
mean, maybe double crop, after in June, our soil temp might be that warm. So those really aren't doing you any good. Until that soil temp gets up to 60 degrees. So we're trying to stimulate those and get them off, started a little sooner, which we have seen actually good results, doing some of the new DNA testing, that we can actually increase the activity of those P solubilizers by stimulating them with some kind of food source.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That it's getting it off to a better start, and with these cold soils, I mean, especially where here in the last week we've really dropped temperatures from where they were, and now we're some of those guys that were going here the last few days. I mean, Monday was nice, but well, I guess over the weekend, but even before that, it was. I mean, some guys were kind of getting scared because the soil temp was like 46, 47 maybe, and it fluctuates. And
Yeah, I mean, in the sand, we got down to 43 in some of the places we were checking temperature. So there's a lot of variability here when it comes to soil temperature, and I mean, we're pretty high elevation. So yeah, we just deal with a harsher environment. So I think that's where a lot of these planter pass products really shine is, helping that early season vigor, getting the plant off to a good start when you don't have to plant in necessarily, ideal perfect conditions, whether it's soil temperature, or another like big place we've seen responses from amino acids and sugars and humics and fulvics, is in low organic matter soils in the sands. So like where we might be below 1% organic matter, there's really not a lot of food sources out there for the biology. So, and we've seen that with a lot of different biological products where, we'll put them out there and they basically just didn't have enough food to, and we've even seen it with Pivot Bio
yeah,
and, in the really tough, sugar sand type fields, there's just not a food source. And once we started adding some of these food sources in there, we actually got the biology to perform a lot better for us.
yeah, yeah. It's oh, it's what does Neil Kinsey say? Is feed the soil so the soil can feed the plant, and not just talking about nutrients either.
Right.
It's using what you have in the soil. Obviously you need good balance of fertility, but that's biology too, and that's such a, I don't want to say untapped, but there is so much to learn of all the different microbes in the soil and interactions and everything to help. I don't want to say manipulate. That sounds kind of bad, but to get them to perform earlier and better than what they have before.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, manipulate kind of makes sense though, because
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
that's
we're
what we've done in agriculture. That's all we do is manipulate everything.
right. Right. No, it is. I mean, yeah, and you look at corn. It's a tropical plant that was really not supposed to have a big ear on it.
Yeah,
So we're trying to influence yield at every stage of the game, and early on, I think is where we've seen the best responses in a lot of these products when it comes to. Um, Again, we're not adding bushels. We're trying to save the bushels and not lose as many. And in kind of the Midwest where we are, the Great Plains region, there's just a lot of those early season stresses that we lose a lot of bushels. And when we open that bag of seed, we know the potential's over 600.
yeah,
But every single day, some of that yield is decreased because of plant stress or um, or a lack of nutrient availability. So that's really the ideal scenario where we can go in there with a lot of these products with the planter and help help the crop maintain some of that yield by mitigating stress.
It's time for a crop nutrition plan that gets more return from every drop. starting with Pro Germinator from AgriLiquid, a complete phosphorus fertilizer product that includes nitrogen, potassium, and iron. More than 30 years of research shows that lower application rates of Pro Germinator often outperform other sources of fertilizer. With AgriLiquid's Pro Germinator, you can apply less and expect more. Find out more at agriliquid.com.
Around here, a lot of guys mainly have at least 2x2. There's a lot of guys that have adopted in-furrow back into their program. But I mean, pretty much everybody has 2x2 or out the back. But that's where these products really are useful is the guys that just have 2x2. And I guess you could say their seed is kind of naked, when they that when you have a solid in-furrow program, like if you use like AgriLiquid products. Anyway, but if you don't have in-furrow and you're only 2x2 and you get conditions like this, it's really cheap insurance for especially the conditions we're in right now, where we don't have 80 to 90 degrees for 14 days, where that seed's just blowing out of the ground because it's ready to go. Because it's the stuff that was planted. I don't know if anything's up, and things have been planted for almost. We're getting close to 2 weeks now, and I don't know if anything's
Yeah,
really
some
even
of
up.
some of it's been longer than 2 weeks because
So, I
there
mean-
was some April 20th corn that, or even that like April 18th, I think is kind of the first stuff that started to go in around here.
Yeah, and I mean nothing's really up, so your seed is just sitting there super vulnerable. And I think the guys that are a little more proactive, maybe forward thinking, like, yeah, let's do this. I think it's going to pay off. I'm really excited to see some of these guys that kind of dove in, especially with us and seed length. It's the way it should perform, like it should. I mean, where I think it's going to pay off for their stand. So, but I guess back to the original point, that seed being naked, I guess you could say. There's so many things that can try to attack it, and using these products can really have the helpful biology help it out. Especially with not necessarily just insecticides, but a little bit of the phosphorus, humics, sugars, having some micronutrients on there. I think it's going to pay off for them this year for sure.
Right, and I think we've talked a little bit about some of the early season diseases we're susceptible to in our cooler soil temps, and still one of my favorite one of my favorite sayings is a healthy plant can fight off those diseases way better, and it's no different like when we get sick. A lot of times it's because we didn't get enough sleep. Kind of surprised we haven't gotten sick over planting because we have not been getting enough sleep.
I know.
But
yeah, I mean, if you take care of your body, you drink enough water, you have the right vitamins.
yeah. I mean, if you have a balanced nutritional diet and you're getting enough vitamin C and B and D, you're going to be able to your body's going to be able to defend a lot of these other viruses or any sickness. A lot easier just because you're healthier, and that's what we're trying to do with our plant. And you mentioned some guys have in-furrow and some guys don't. Now, in that in-furrow definitely gives us a great placement for product. But the other cool thing now is this planter box space or seed treatments, and I think that's a great way for guys that don't have in-furrow. They can still put something right on the seed and get a ton of benefit from it.
Yeah, they really can. And
it's an easy application, which is super important, because a lot of the things that we've done in the past, it's like, it's not always easy to do. And I mean, everyone running in-furrow knows, I mean, they've seen it pay, so they believe in in-furrow. I mean, we were getting anywhere from a 7 to 15 bushel bump just from in-furrow adjacent to a pass where we'd shut the in-furrow off. Everything else was the same. So we know placement gains efficiency, and we're protecting some of that yield by putting those in-furrow. But everyone with in-furrow knows, like, well, I got to fill, my in-furrow tanks more when I'm planting. I mean, so there's a little bit of it's added time, added work a little bit to have in-furrow. Although it's still worth it, it's super nice to be able to have, a planter box product that provides a lot of those same benefits and that's easy to apply and doesn't require any more time or effort. It's something guys are already putting on with like talc or graphite. And yeah, so there's really nothing added.
Yeah. With I guess what I was thinking about the when you're talking about the in-furrow. So one thing that I saw, especially after sugar beets. So from what I saw and what I understand is the the beets are not hosts for mycorrhizal fungi, which helps phos get into the corn plant. So let's say you plant beets and then obviously you take the roots out. You're kind of left with nothing out there. And so, we kind of struggle with that. I work with a grower that does beets, and we always kind of struggled with kind of getting a good even stand after a good stand of corn after beets. So kind of was looking into it. I found the mycorrhizal thing, and then you know we it's like, well, let's get some phos in furrow. So he was set up in furrow, and so we ran our pro germ in furrow. It's probably 2 or 3 gallon, I think it was, and it just so happened that it put with some he had a couple quarts of micro 500. And not saying that you have to use it. I mean, obviously it's a great product, but I mean you can do it with 1034 too. But so he happened to have a plugged row on his in-furrow, and you should have seen how shitty that corn was that did not have the in-furrow phos. Just right there, right for it, right when it needs it. It's not waiting in that 2x2 to get it. It was. I'll see if I still have those pictures or not. But it was night and day difference. He has a 24-row planter, and that one row throughout the whole field was just uneven, looked terrible. It's like, okay, that there's definitely something there, and that it's throw that having that flexibility in furrow. You don't necessarily need it all the time, I guess, but if you wanted to add some fungicides, insecticides, you're following some type of crop that like sugar beets that it's going to pay instantly to have that phos and furrow. And yeah, it's an extra step and everything, but I mean, just having the flexibility of that is huge.
Right. And understanding some of those, crop rotational issues that we face, it's like we are not dealing with the same issues on every single field, so it's not like, and I mean, we do this with a lot of our guys, some acres are getting a planter box treatment, some acres are getting pivot bio, some acres are getting both. And I think we've done a good job about that of let's not just do this blanket program where every single acre is the same. Like we might have a couple different in-furrow blends if this field needs more phosphorus or if this field needs more biology, to really maximize that return, because it's not going to be the same on every acre.
Right. That's and that there's kind of a fine line there between when you're making recommendations, and if there's any agronomists listening to that, I mean they understand that, because each field needs to be treated different but also the same at the same time, because these guys don't want to mess with you could legit have 15. If let's say a guy had 15 fields, you could make 15 blends. It probably the agronomic way would be like, yeah, we need something different on every field, but logistically that's not gonna work. But you can change it to lower yield, high yield, average yield, or you could go based on soil levels, kind of what you're after. So it's like, well, you kind of have to find a middle point. So you have you can make 3 different blends for that. So I mean, you're kind of you have to find a middle ground between what you're trying to accomplish and what the grower's looking for.
Right. Well, and with a lot of these products that we're talking about, that on seed or very close to the seed placement, it's not that we need to variable rate necessarily our in-furrow program, because usually it's a small enough dose, like that whole field needs it. And a lot of times when we start variable rating that, that is when we see, okay, this might be my lower yielding zone in that field, so I'm tempted to spend a little less money. But in reality, that could actually have a better ROI in that zone versus a zone that already has a higher level, because you're gonna have a bigger response in that area too. So there's a lot of different things to look at, a lot of different variables when it comes to soil. Um, where yeah, it's going to act differently in different parts of the field, and so I think it's really all about finding that good balance of, okay, this is what we're going to put in the planter pass, this is why, and maybe these 5 fields are a little different than these other 5 fields, so I'm going to have 2 different blends, but not over complicating it, like you said, to where it's just logistically a nightmare, having 17 different blends. And then, um, a lot of times I feel like, we're just tempted to push the easy button, and plant as fast as we can, and get everything in the ground as quick as we can. And that's, it really is finding that balance of, let's not just push the easy button, and do the same thing on every single acre. But yeah, let's not overcomplicate things and, yeah, make things a nightmare for us.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the the planter box space, and I'm kind of thinking back now. It's one of those things that's like, well, no one really thought about it until what, like 5 or 6 years ago, I guess would kind of be. I mean, there's been some like, some small doses of like micronutrients added, but really with Meristem, they came out with their biocapsule technology, and then they were putting nutrients in, and that was a great. I mean, kudos to them for kind of starting the whole deal. It was kind of an untapped market, and now what they found is there is a good return, especially these guys that don't have starter or in-furrow, or even those guys that do, they've seen a good return, or they've seen bumps, they've seen better stands, and so they kind of started getting that space of what can we put in here, and a lot of the industry is starting to follow. You see a lot of other guys. I mean, they're kind of that's kind of how the industry is. I mean, they're kind of slapping their own label on the same thing and reselling it. But well, I guess we can talk about it when we have our seedling episode. But it's for what they got to put into it. I mean, that's kind of a hard ROI for $20 an acre.
Right.
And that, I guess that's where seedling comes in. It's way cheaper than that, but better product. I mean, it's it's a better mix for a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot more in it, and the main difference is the farmer's not having to pay, $8 an acre just for packaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't, we we didn't spend several $1 million chasing a patent.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
there are a lot of R&D in the biocapsule that, yeah, they have to recoup that money somehow, and so it's roughly 40% of the cost of their product is just for their packaging, and that's what makes SeedLink kind of special in my mind, is that instead of adding this extra packaging to keep our biology alive, we just pulled out the talc and graphite, because that's what was killing the biology to begin with, because it sucks all the moisture out of there. And these a lot of these strands of bacteria, and especially the trichoderma and some of the fungi strands in these planter box, like they need moisture to survive. They're not anaerobic, and so when we create that anaerobic environment by adding it with talc and graphite, they die off. And like typically it's very quickly, within 24 to 48 hours, um, and you just see those biology levels continue to drop for those 48 hours, and then basically to where it's next to nothing, and then you're paying for dead microbes.
Yeah. Yeah. They they created a lot of buzz with the biocapsules, but kind of tried to spin it as like kind of like a cool thing to do. It's like the next best thing, but It's kind
Yeah.
of a pain in the ass at the end of the day.
I
That's
I
kind of a
know.
pain point.
Well, and that's I think we might have mentioned this before, but it's like the frustration that we have as agronomists first and sales second is that there's so many of these companies out there that are, they're ag companies, but really they're a marketing company that happens to be selling ag products.
Yeah, it's
and
a story
and,
behind it.
and that's what it all that's what makes our job kind of hard is because we have hundreds, no, thousands of products and companies to sort through to try to figure out which ones are actually legit and which ones are overhyped or which ones just have these good buzzwords to sell stuff, which one sounds the best, which one spends the most money on flyers and posters. And it really comes down to understanding what's in the product and how it works and where it fits on your farm, because a lot of these, almost every company out there has good products that can work. And it's no different than placing a hybrid. If you place a hybrid on in an ideal field with an ideal with a response where it's really, or within a field scenario where that hybrid's really going to thrive, um, you will have a great yield compared to if you put that same hybrid maybe in a place where it wasn't meant for or it wasn't bred for. You're going to be disappointed in that hybrid. And it's no different with a lot of these products, humics, fulvics, sugars, amino acids, PGRs. Like they do work. They just have to be placed in in a field that actually needs them. Yep, to prosper the farmer, right?
That's right.
That's
That's
the
right.
main goal.
Got to have
So
them around.
to steal AgriLiquid's phrase there,
Yeah, yeah.
prosper the farmer in everything we do. So,
That's right.
well, thanks a lot for listening to us again, and yeah, look forward to coming up. I don't even know. We'll probably be taking stand counts here in this next episode, and
Yeah.
yeah, maybe have a little more to talk about these early season conditions we're seeing right now. We're not off to a great start weather-wise,
Yeah.
so being that, yeah, I think we got down to 29 last night again on May 5th, or May 6th this morning. So
Yeah, sounded like west there was I don't know, 4 or 5 inches of snow. I think it stopped about an hour short of where we are, so at least we didn't get that.
yeah,
So
Yep.
we just got the rain, so that's good.
but we needed the moisture, so
Yeah, we did.
I think we would have
So-
even taken snow, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully no more fires.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of funny seeing all the fires burning this morning, though. People probably had
yeah.
trash building up.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
seemed like everybody had a burn barrel going this morning. So,
Yeah, that was from the last 6 months.
yeah. Yeah. No, we've got quite a few seed bags and stuff of seed we treated that we need to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, I know.
Need to quit blowing around.
Yeah, we've been hammering out the seed treatment and hopefully get the rest out the door in the next week and see where we end up.
All right. Well, thanks, Sam, for recording another one of these. And yeah, hopefully you guys took away something useful. Again, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or go to our website. All our episodes are on our website too, nextgenfertilizers.com.
Stop by the shop and play some ping pong.
That's right. You're always welcome to do that.